Hello, this is Jamie Novak, your bite-sized living specialist, and welcome into Where to Start When You Don't Know Where to Start, the organizing version. You may have seen the companion piece to this class, which is simply Where to Start When You Don't Know Where to Start, and that involves your, well, overall. It's just everything. It's personal, business, financial, home. But when you've narrowed it down and you are ready to organize, but you just don't know where to start, this is the class that you want to listen to. So, I want to let you know we're going to be talking about 3 steps to organizing any space. I'm going to walk you through those steps, and as we get started, what would be most helpful is if you could identify the first place where you'd like to apply all 3 of these steps. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Well, Jamie, if you've seen my house, can I just apply the 3 steps everywhere? How about the first floor of my home? Can that be a space? Can it just be everywhere? And the answer is no, not quite yet. The thing is, we need to choose one small area to address, even though there may be others that you want to get to. You want to practice and apply all 3 steps across the board. You want to see a resolution in that space. Get it to a place where it's usable, it's functional, you like how it looks. It may not be perfect, but it's working. And then we're going to move forward. And you apply the 3 steps to the next place, and the next space, and the next area. And before you know it, all the areas that you're saying to me, can I address them all at once? We know that doesn't work. You can't focus your attention in multiple places and see lasting success. But we will get to those areas. So if you feel the need to write this master list just to get the places out of your mind and onto paper so you can start to really not feel distracted by or feel like you're going to forget, go right ahead. Make that master list. Hang the master list on the inside of a pantry cabinet door. Put it in the front of a journal that you know where it is and you look at all the time. Clip it to your calendar. Type it in the computer and email it to yourself. Whatever way that you need to collect those thoughts. Others of us would be just fine writing it on a scrap of paper or the back of an envelope and never really referencing it again, because those places may very well change, but it just can be the one step to help you identify where you're going to begin. Now, if maybe your list is like, well, it could be attic, it could be kitchen, it could be bathroom, it could be entryway, it could be closet. Is there a better place to start? In fact, there is. The basement, the attic, even the garage where maybe you'd like to get your car into, it sounds great, but that's not necessarily going to change your everyday living. The medicine cabinet, if things fall out of, the pantry in the kitchen or the countertop because you can't cook dinner, the dining room table because you can't have company over, your closet because you're always buying new clothes because you don't know what you own. Those are areas that are just going to impact your everyday living starting today, and those would be your best choices to start. If you've selected a whole room, the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, now we even need to narrow that focus a little more to the top of the dining room table, the hall closet. Really get specific, because a whole room is overwhelming, just as a whole house feels overwhelming. We really need to get specific and focus in your attention. So now that you have selected your space, you can't really choose a wrong space, just choose something. The reason you want to know that now is as I'm talking you through the 3 steps, you'll know how to specifically apply them to the area that you're talking about. So it's sort of like crafting your own personalized plan. If you just listened to the 3 steps and you didn't have a place in mind, sure, it would be helpful, but, it would just be kind of vague and generic. Now you're going to know exactly. All right, so you have your step, your place, your area, you're ready to go. What is that first step? Well, you might think that I was going to say, as some of the articles and books and television shows on organizing sort of instruct us to do, and that is to pull everything out of the space, to clear the space. Put everything on the front lawn or put everything into a pile and start sorting. And that sounds like a great idea, but unless you have a whole team of people coming with you, chances are that is a recipe for disaster. I mean, think about it. The last time that you did that, right? Inspiration struck, you were in the mood to organize, you had the time, the energy, so you started a project. Maybe you pulled everything out of a closet or took that big pile and started sorting it into smaller paper piles on the dining room table. And then what happened? You were interrupted, life happened, your phone rang, you had to go pick someone up, you simply lost steam, it wasn't all that interesting anymore. Something happened to disrupt that momentum, and now it's a bigger mess. You look around, you're like, what did I get myself into? I don't even know why I started. It looks worse than it ever did. Now I really can't find anything. I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. I don't even want to get back to it. Or if you put all your clothes on your bed and then it's bedtime and you're like, well, I got to scoop everything up and shove it in the closet. I mean, it just really doesn't tend to work. Even if you think you've got the whole day, I don't know anyone that really has the stamina to organize the whole day long. So it might sound like you could get it done, but I rarely see great success with that. So, that being said, step one, we are not pulling everything out of the space. What we are doing is setting a timer for 18 minutes on the clock. Now, 18 minutes on the clock, I know you very well may not be finished. In fact, chances are you won't be. Good news, your goal is to work for 18 minutes of focus time. You may or may not be finished, but you will have met your goal of working focused for 18 minutes. Your space may take multiple 18-minute blocks of time. Your space may take many, many, many multiples of 18-minute blocks of time. The good news is 18 minutes of focus time is just about as good as an hour of multitasking. So if you've spent some time in that room before and didn't see much progress, chances are you weren't fully focused on the task at hand, and so it took longer than it needed to. 18 minutes on the clock, it's a bite-sized amount. 10 minutes just sounds too short. What could you really get done? 20 minutes sounds like a lifetime when you're not really into organizing and you just can't stay focused for that amount of time. 18 minutes on the clock, it becomes like a game show. We're not pulling everything out of the space. We're making decisions, not piles. We're really good at sorting stuff. That's not usually the problem. The problem is making decisions about the stuff we sort. So we're just going to jump right in, both feet in the water. We're going to make decisions, not piles. You pick up the first item. If you're in a closet and it's something hanging on the bar, you pick up the first item there. If it's a pile of papers and it's the first paper, we have to see, what is that paper? What's the decision we're going to make about it? If you're sorting photographs, it's the first photo. Are you sorting them by child? What child is it? You're doing them chronologically, then where does it fall in the timeline? It's the first of something. You're in the medicine cabinet, you pull out the first bath or beauty or makeup or spa product. What is it? What's happening with it? If it's a piece of paper and you need to read it right then. Is it a piece of paper? It's a form. You need to fill it out and mail it back. Fill it out and mail it back right then. Put the stamp on it. Take it to the mailbox right then. Put it in your mailbox. Don't get in the car and drive away. Then we'll lose you for good. But you see what I'm saying? We're doing it right then. We're just taking action. If you're in your closet and it's something that you need to put a button on, put the button on right then. If you're not going to put the button on, put it in your car to drop off to the tailor. And, these are the things we're just going to take action. You may not see that a lot of the pile will go down in the first 18 minutes, but you will notice that those items are just off the list and you can start fresh, as opposed to making piles, then pushing them back into one big pile, making more piles, pushing them back into one pile again, and then nothing really ever goes away. It's all the same stuff you're just dealing with over and over. You're just resorting it. That's not making progress. We want to make progress. We want to make decisions. We don't want to make piles. So you're picking up the first item. Is it a bath product? Is it expired? Is it makeup? Is it your color? Are we using it? Aren't we? If it's a keeper, we're going to put it back in a way that we can find it again. This is where we start to move into step 2, putting away just what you use and love. It is very possible that as you do that, you'll need just a little bit of wiggle room. You could put a box in the top closet where you're going to put away your seasonal clothing, but you'd need a little more room to do that. And so in that instance, if you just need a little bit of wiggle room, then you're approved to sort of just move some things. Make a small box, make a small pile, just to give you those few inches of wiggle room to start putting things away that you use and love. That way you can start to see that some things are staying, some things are going, and you're storing them in a way that you can find them again. Storage options, you don't have to run out to the store and buy a whole bunch of clear bins or one of those rolling carts on casters. I mean, They're great. They may or may not work. A lot of times they end up in the corner of a room with dust on them and nothing inside because we didn't really know what we needed and we jumped the gun by getting the storage units. Chances are you have what you need to store stuff in your very own home. Check the boxes in the recycling container. Something as simple as an egg carton stores, picture hangers and nails and jewelry or craft items, So look around and see what you've already got. You don't necessarily have to bring more things home. But we want to put away just what you use and love during step 2. You know what that is. If it currently fits you, if it's your size, if it's your color, it washes well, it's in good repair, it has all its pieces, you know how to use it, it's not broken, it's not stained, you know what that stuff is. We're going to put away just what you use and love. You can have a maybe box, one maybe box, which is the box of maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't, maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't. 24 months of French cooking magazines, maybe you'll make a souffle, maybe you won't. They were expensive, you have a connection to them, you don't want to let them go until you give yourself a chance. Put them in a maybe box, put a 6-month expiration on the box, if within that time you need the item. You switch out your decor and you do want to hang those prints. You are that size again because you started walking more and eating better. Then you've got your maybe box and those items are there. It's sort of a safety net. The other box that you get is a treasure box, and these are for all of the treasures that you want to store, where you go, you know what? I do love this souvenir. And taking a photo of the souvenir and holding on to it wouldn't quite be the same. There are a lot of sentimental pieces that taking a digital photograph and then taking the card out of the digital camera and putting it into a digital photo frame would work. Because now as the pictures scroll through that digital photo frame, each time you see the picture, the memories come back of what that item represented. So it could have been a greeting card that you took a photo that was signed from your grandmother who may no longer be with us, but it's a treasure to look at. Taking a photograph of a lot of those items definitely works, especially oversized items like the red radio flyer wagon that your parents would tow you to town in. Well, you may not be towing anyone because the wheel's falling off, but taking a photo of that would work. But then there are some items that are just think jewelry and those kinds of treasures that you actually want the item. That's where the treasure box comes into play. So step 2, we're putting away just what you use and love. You've got a maybe box, a treasure box, and we're finding really good homes for all the other stuff. If you're out of room and you've overstuffed the space, you've got too many books on the bookshelf, it's time to find homes for some of them. And so of course we can pack up a bag and give it to someone that we love that maybe has a home for those items. You could donate them to charity, which is also another great option. If there are books and movies and things, you can look to your local library if they're accepting them. You can think of even just putting them at the commuter station where commuters might love to grab a book on their way to the train or something. If you wanted to sell them, then that's another option. But we need to make sure that it's worth your time and energy, that there's going to be some sort of a payoff on those items. So if it's an item that's brand name, new in box, that kind of a thing, clothing that's a brand name or new, still has tags on, consignment shops are good. Amazon, for a lot of their products now, has the opportunity to just get a gift credit, so you can type in the ISBN number on the right hand side. If they're accepting them, you can say trade it in for credit. You print the postage paid label, you put it in an envelope, you mail it back. When they get it, they confirm that it is what you said it was, and then they give you credit in your account right away. So that's always nice. Can you do that with every book? No. But could you choose 5 of the 10 you're giving away? Absolutely. Do you have to do all of this? No. Think of the local teenager that does landscaping, snow shoveling, or babysitting. That teenager's probably very good on the computer and could possibly do a lot of this for you. They could list things on eBay for you. That's another option. Facebook, if you're on Facebook, there's a marketplace. If you have craft items that you finished or have craft supplies, Etsy, which is etsy.com, you can sell them there. Also, FreeCycle. It's not a charity and you can't sell things, but you can give things away for free to someone that you know will use and love them. Broken or not, and that's very important, broken or not. Something like a toaster that you think might work, you're really not sure, you're not sure the last time you made toast in it, but you saved it all the same. List it on FreeCycle. May or may not work. I know it doesn't work. Whatever the situation is, you don't have to write any ads. You don't have to take any beautiful photographs. You just list what it is, and then you can meet up with the person to either drop it off to them, they pick it up, you meet in a cafe, whatever's going to be your comfort level with getting that item to the person. We've had great success stories, families that were less fortunate and really benefited from the items, to people that just genuinely loved the item and they were passionate about it, and we were able to make that match, like photograph equipment that was left over from an estate, and the person just didn't know who to pass it on to. And even we had an antique freezer that was in someone's basement. It was going to cost $562 to have it removed by a junk company. Someone on FreeCycle wanted it. They came, they took it away. They were thrilled, the person was thrilled, and it saved them $562. So FreeCycle is another great way to go. The thing is, you have to actually do it. Making a pile of books to check on Amazon, not that useful. Picking up the next book off the bookshelf during your 18-minute block, logging on the computer, avoiding your email, avoiding playing any games on Facebook, and just going to Amazon, that's a success. So that's your second step. We're setting the timer for 18 minutes. We're picking up the first item. We're making a decision, not another pile. If it's a keeper, we're putting it away in a way we can use it again. If it's not a keeper, we're finding it a really good home. If we're unsure, it goes in the maybe box. If we love it and it's a treasure, it goes in the treasure box. So you might think now, after multiple 18-minute blocks of time, which, by the way, you're probably wondering, well, how many do you get? You get one a day, unless you're having a really good day where you want to reset the timer or come back and do another 18 minutes. Fantastic. But always have the timer set. Don't work for 18 minutes and when the buzzer go off, say, I'll just keep going. And then all of a sudden, you're into it and you're like, well, I don't know, should I stop? I feel like I shouldn't stop yet. And again, your goal is lost. So the goal is to work in 18-minute increments, the timer ticking down in the background. So you might think now, after working in these 18-minute increments, you've recovered a corner of your dining room table, maybe the entire dining room table. Maybe you've got your closet back in order, your hall closet can fit the coats now, you've pared down to just the ones that, fit your family today, and they're in the right season. Maybe your junk drawer in the kitchen is nice and organized, the pantry is together and you can see what you've got, whatever that space was. And you might think, well, this is where we're going to end because it looks great. And a lot of times I think, this is where the advice comes to an end. Well, you worked, it's how you wanted it, and it looks great. But I think they fail to share with you what I think is the most important step in the whole process. Once you've put all that time and energy into it, you want to keep it that way. And unless you adopt new routines, new household guidelines, new ways of doing things, it's going to go back to how it was very quickly. I mean, it could happen in an hour. You clear off the kitchen counter and the mail comes, and there it is again. The pile starts. And then you really start to doubt yourself, and you think, I'm not born organized, and why did I think I could do this? And look, it's getting messy again. And so I think we just simply didn't apply step 3, which is to keep it that way. One of my favorite rules for keeping it that way is the 2-minute rule. When you can finish a task in 2 minutes or less, just finish it right then. You bring in the mail, and you can sort it right then. You might not be paying the bills, but you can sort the mail. You walk in the door, you take off your jacket, you can put the jacket away. I know you might be going back out later, but if you lay the jacket down, then you'll lay something else down, then something else will accumulate, and all of a sudden you've got another pile. The 2-minute rule. If you can wrap up a task in 2 minutes or less, just do it right then. Give everything a home and put it back when you're done. It has to have a home. If it sits out, it's clutter. You have to give it a home. You can change where it lives if it's not working, if it's not convenient. Store it where you use it. So important. If you're not storing it where you use it, then you're going to put it down to put it away later, and another pile is going to happen. So you have to create the storage where the item tends to end up when you're done, finished using it. Otherwise, it's just going to become another pile. Your home can have a lost and found. If you're sharing a space with someone or other people that tend to leave things out, you can dedicate a single basket, container, drawer, an ottoman in the living room that lifts up for storage, something where when someone leaves something out, you can toss it into the lost and found, and then when they come looking for it, they know where to look. You didn't have to put it away, but you also didn't have to deal with the pile. So the lost and found can be a great way to go. So you just need some new guidelines. Maybe it's every day, at the end of the day, you're just going to walk through and catch anything that's been left out. If you're still working on other areas, then catch the items that have been left out on the space that you did organize. If you finally get down to a flat surface, like a dining room table, set it with the really good china, and that will just break the habit of putting things down on that flat surface. Horizontal spaces are truly magnets for stuff, so anytime you can eliminate the horizontal surface by having a bookcase that goes floor to ceiling, or putting out decorative items on the horizontal surface so that things can't accumulate, you're much, much better off. So some new guidelines during that step 3. And add organizing into your weekly or monthly routine. I mean, most of us have grocery shopping and getting the oil changed on the car and getting our hair cut. I mean, those are just part of our routine, right? But very few of us have organizing. You're bringing in more items, probably on a daily basis. And unless you actually add organizing to your routine, then you're going to wait until it becomes overwhelming, and then you have to listen to the recording again. So I love the idea of just kind of, it's already happening. It's on your list. It's, the first of every month. You're just organizing one space that's kind of getting a little out of control. So just to recap, we're setting a timer for 18 minutes on the clock. That's step 1. We're not sorting. We're making decisions. You pick up the first item in the area. You're focusing right there, and you're making a decision. What has to happen? And do it during the 18-minute block of time. If you want to go for another 18 minutes, go right ahead. Step 2 is we're putting away just what you use and love. And you know what that is. We're storing it in a way you can find it again. Use containers, shop from home. You probably have a lot of containers that you can use. Now that you're starting to see the space come together, it's really starting to feel like there's a shelf there, there's a horizontal surface you can find, you can locate things in your pantry and your fridge. It's all starting to come together. We need to keep it that way. Now, I have to tell you, there are just going to be days where we backslide, or weeks. It depends. You could be under the weather. You could be having some sort of a physical ailment. You could be just coming back from vacation. You could be super busy at work. You could have a family emergency. You could have moved. I mean, just there could be some scenario, and chances are some scenario will happen where you were on a roll and all of a sudden, well, it's getting a little out of control again. When you notice it, the important thing is to notice it and take action. And to avoid getting into that downward spiral of, look at it again, I'm not keeping up with it. The difference now is you have systems for the items, so they're no longer clutter, and you're keeping on top of it as best you can. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to see serious progress, and that's what we're looking for. And that's what it's all about. So you now hold the keys to the 3 steps to organizing any space. You're going to apply steps 1 through 3 in one specific area. A dining room table of the entire dining room. And then you might move on to the buffet and clear out the drawers, that kind of thing. It's applying it to the one area, because you've got to kind of get in there and try the new storage and see what's working and see what's not working. And maybe you do an initial pass through where it's like, okay, this stuff won't be painful to let go of, but I have to stop short of going any further. I have to decide. And then you make a second pass through and you realize, oh, you know what, I thought I needed it, but I really don't. And it gets easier and easier the more times you look at it, and you can make better decisions. So you really have to apply step 3 all the way across the board to one area, and then you can move on. It takes about 21 to 28 days to create a new habit. So if in that time period you start to falter a little, which can very well happen, you don't have to, go back to the beginning. You didn't fail. Nothing happened. You just restart from where you are, knowing that you now have the keys to just continue on. So you've got the 3 steps, and I'd encourage you now to really focus on your successes. I know it might not sound like a lot to let one item go a day, or to shred, a handful of papers every day, or to, empty the recycling, or always take out the garbage, or, just these things that sound like, oh my gosh, that's, I don't know, what's kind of it's not going to make a dent. It could possibly make a difference. If you saw the whole space, what's one thing going to do? But you know what's so interesting? That's where the bite size comes from. It's that one next step. And then it's one more, and it's one more, and you go, wait a minute, it's been a whole week. That's 7 things out of my house, and look at how much more room there is. And that's where it all starts. It's not one big situation where there was a block of time and things changed drastically. It's the small steps that lead to success, and it all starts with that first 18-minute block of time. I know you can do this. I am absolutely positive that you know where to start now. So here's where it comes. The cure for overwhelm is action. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by all the stuff, all the decisions, everything that you have to think about, what do you have to store, just do something. A little tiny something. And what happens when you do that is you build this confidence. You start to realize that you value your space and your time and your energy and your sanity over the item. You get relief from just doing one little thing, and you realize that it's not as overwhelming as you thought it was. When you're on your own mind and trying to plan it out, of course it's overwhelming. But when you actually get up out of the chair and just do a little something, you realize it was much easier than you thought it would. And you know what? It's kind of like you look back and go, what was all the fuss about? Why was I anticipating this? This is really nothing. It was so easy. But when you're not doing it in anticipating of it, that's the worst part. But the anticipation is always worse than the doing. So I just encourage you to do it. I can't stress this enough. Set a timer, 18 minutes on the clock, and even if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I've got it in me, I'm kind of tired, I have the motivation, the energy, I'm not in the mood, just try it for 18 minutes and you'll see what happens. The 18 minutes will go by and you'll have moved some things, you'll have made some decisions, some things will be on their way out of your house, you'll be have less stuff around to deal with, and you'll start to take back control over what feels like some chaos right now. Well, this has been Jamie Novak, your bite-sized living specialist, and I can't wait to hear about your success stories applying these 3 steps to the first area that you feel like you really want to tackle. And I know you can do it. It starts today, and you've got the keys now. So I can't wait to hear what you've got to tell me about it. And don't forget to take a before photo so that you can really measure your success and have that visual reminder of where you started from. It can be very easy to forget what it looked like as you start to change it. So you can look back and say, oh, that's right, I couldn't even see that corner, and now look at what I did. So that's just proof positive that you can do this, that you are doing it, and we're going to take you from someday I will to I did, which is a very exciting place to be. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me for Where to Start When You Don't Know Where to Start, the organizing version.